So I only have a few minutes. Just a quick update. We're getting a correction here. So we are really bullish. We have the daily model looking bullish. We've talked about this a bunch. If you're in premium, we went over this in a lot of detail in last night's live stream. We discussed some educational topics and we did some live analysis where we got into some really great breakout calls. So you know what I'm talking about when I say the daily is bullish. Now the 4 hour, we are getting a bearish reversal on the Stokes. We are coming back down. Now, what we may see is a sideways correction, which is what happens when you're really bullish, right? Like, look at RVN. RVN pretty much just went sideways, very slightly down, but we got a full Stoke reset. We can see something like that. So, in assets like this, where I'm not that far above the current price, like right there, I'm not that far above my entry. If we reset and we get a little sideways correction that comes down a little bit, it may stop me out of the trade. So, the trades where I've gotten a really sick breakout, like VTHO, that's not going to happen. With algo, that's unlikely to happen. So I'm not going to take profit here. I'm going to let it ride. But just be aware that we are going to correct here. So we're probably going to shift into an 8 to 12 hour long dip. But I'm thinking we mostly will get sideways action because we're overall trending so bullish due to that daily model. We have several days left of that. So we are going to get a correction. It's just not going to be that big. If we get a sideways correction or a slight retrace, and then we get an early premature reversal, that's the other thing you can see. So there's two ways it plays out. When you are really bullish like we are now, either you get the breakout, and then when you correct, you get a mostly sideways correction before going up again, and a full reset on the Stoke, or you might come down a little bit or go sideways a bit, but you get a short reset on the Stoke like this, like an XRP. We came down, and it mostly went sideways, but then we immediately went reversed and went bullish again. Now, last night I had XRP and NPXS were two picks, and then I also had LRC and VTHO. I said it's between, out of those four, I need to pick two that are the most bullish. I picked LRC and VTHO, and sure enough, they're dramatically outperforming XRP and NPXS. Substantially. 3, 4, 5 times more than XRP and NPXS have moved. So I certainly picked right. My models were very accurate and on point. That helped me predict which of those four would be the best breakouts. But you can see on those, that's pretty much what we saw last time. A short little reversal, not much of a bearish move. That's what I'm hoping to see here. I only want to see, 4 candles at the most, maybe even only 2 or 3 candles before we get reset enough on the Stoke that we can reverse and turn up. When this happened last time, we didn't yet have the bullish daily. Now we have the bullish daily. So now I think there's an even better chance we can get a short little reversal. My trades that were my longer term buys, like I bought ORN over here. On that one, I'm now sitting on 35% profit. So on ORN, since we're probably going to get a short term dip, it might be a sideways dip, like I said. I think I might take some profit on ORN. I might sell a little chunk. Tomo, I have to double check. This was a short-term low-risk trade. I don't remember. I got some bag as a longer-term hold on Tomo. I don't know if I got into a big bag here, like long-term. So if it was a small one, I'm probably not up that much. I got, let's see, some of my others that were longer-term holds. Key, I got into a longer-term hold, but this was a really short-term entry. My longer-term hold is still holding from way back, so I'm still up on Key. And the way it bounced off that 222 EMA was epic. If we retrace a little bit here and bounce close to that 222, you're really going to want to get into Key because that's going to be an explosive breakout once we settle down on that next little dip. However, we do have a trend line forming here, so we might not even come below this trend line. If we come down slightly and just ride along this trend line for a minute, that would be a good time to buy in right above the trend line, stop loss 4 or 5% below the trend line, because I anticipate once we get that next reversal where we start turning up on the 4-hour Stoke, I think Key is going to break out and get well above a penny, and a penny's right over here. So that would be about 30% from where we are right now. I think there's a big breakout coming on Key, so be prepared for that. I'm probably going to get in and expand my longer term position because we're coming out of a falling wedge as well, which you can see right here. Right, that's a very important falling wedge. So we broke out here, came back down. What do I always say? When you break out of a falling wedge and you break above a trendline resistance like this, more often than not, you come back down and you retest it. And that's exactly what happened. We started to break out, we came back down, we retested that as support, and now we're breaking out. I think this is going to continue up for a 30, 40, 50% run on Key over multiple days. I'm anticipating a big move on Key. So if you're looking for a good entry, we still have to get above these dynamic supports here. I don't think that's going to happen yet because we still need to dip. The Stoke is turning south, so I'm going to wait for the price to come back down, get closer to this trend line. Then I'm going to buy into a bigger long-term position. I'm going to set a notification down here. So once we get down a little bit lower, right around right here, I want to get a notification because that's where I'm going to want to start planning my buy orders. So definitely want to keep an eye on that one. And then some of the others, we have some big breakout potential as well. ADA is looking prime for a breakout. The only problem is we're not that far above my last entry, so it could come down and stop me out. I'm hoping this pink line, that trend line support, and the 55 EMA will be enough to keep us up because we're kind of running right into the cloud, and that's going to be a strong confluence zone. This little area right here, if we could just make it to this point, is a very, very strong support zone because we have the top of the cloud, that key Ichimoku dynamic support, 55 EMA, key Ichimoku dynamic support, and this trend line resistance, the pink line. So all in all, we're in a really great position for a big ADA breakout. Plus, it looks like, what was the reset? So we had the last Stoke reset was perfectly on that 618 right here. We were holding at the 618. So that's also in that same region. So this is an epic support zone. I'm really confident once we get a little bit of a dip and the Stoke comes back down and reverses again, I think ADA is going to give us an explosive move and we're going to get back above the prior top, which was $1.50 or a little bit below $1.50. I think we're going to run back up above $1.50, no question. We just need to get started, and it's probably going to take a few hours for those candles to play out, possibly until tonight. I'm hoping we get a really short dip, though, given how bullish we are overall. I'm hoping it doesn't take that long to get that little reset and then make that push up. As for the rest of my trades, FTT is finally in the green. I'm up 7-8% on that one. That's looking really bullish, but of course that's coming back down one more time on the 4 hour. So in this case, we have the 55 EMA, we have the top of the cloud, tons of support from the Ichimoku dynamics, so we're looking really good on FTT as well. If that dips down and we get down to this range, you'll probably want to buy into BTT too, because that's gonna be a good zone to enter for a breakout play. And then as for the others, I'll come back and revisit in a couple hours once these candles play out, and we can see if we're getting a little dip. We may just, in the case of algo, man, my algo analysis was great, except we still are having trouble breaking above this second resistance. So we had this resistance creating the ascending triangle, and then that second resistance right here is really the big one. We're starting a little bit of a dip here, so there's a good chance we can come back and test this resistance again. We could come a little bit lower, but I'm not positive, so I don't want to sell yet. I think there's still a ton of potential in algo, so I'm not going to sell. But if you're up a lot on algo and you want to take profit and you can't afford to risk that profit, giving it back, you definitely want to sell and take some profit since you're up. You don't want to miss out and get too greedy. I can afford to wait and let it come back down and move up, but since it comes back down, there's a chance it comes down and hits your stop loss with a wick. You're going to be really pissed if you didn't take profit when you were in the green. So make sure you're smart and you're taking profit when you have the chance, especially if you can't afford to take the risk that I can afford to take. Lastly, VTHO, strong breakout, up 13%. In this case, we also need to get a short-term dip, and we have a lot of support from these Ichimoku dynamics with the 55 and the 99 EMAs. If you drop down to the hourly, we also have the 222 in play. So overall, with all these supports, I think we're in a great position for VTHO for that next wave up. I would let it dip back down, see how far down we get, and if we can come all the way down to this general range where these EMAs are, around 47, 47.5, if you can get down there, if you missed out on the original entry, that would be a good time to buy in. That's another one that's looking at a big breakout. VTHO is going to run hard once we get that settle, that next bottom. Again, all these are still really bullish on the daily model. We're still on the way up on the daily, so there's plenty of room to run. Don't feel like you missed out. Just wait till you get that right surgical entry and you buy in at the right time. I'll do another update later. My mom's in town visiting, so I'm going to go upstairs, and I'm not going to look at the charts much more, but if you really need me, just tag me in Discord, and I'll hop on. Obviously, I have my phone. So talk to you in a bit. Thanks, guys.